Get out, now, before I call security. The manager's finger pointed straight at Marcus Trent's chest. Behind him, 7-year-old Lily clutched her father's worn jacket. Tears streaming down her face. Daddy, why is he yelling at us? Marcus stood frozen. Every eye in the restaurant watched. Whispers spread like wildfire. A woman in pearls laughed behind her hand. Then the glass doors swung open. Victoria Chen, CEO of Titan Global Holdings, walked in. Her eyes found Marcus. Her breath caught. The man you just humiliated, she said, her voice slicing through the silence, is worth $3 billion and he saved my life. Subscribe to my channel and follow this story to the very end. Comment below which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Marcus Trent checked his reflection in the restaurant window one last time. His jacket was old but clean. His shoes were polished. His daughter's hand felt small and warm in his. Daddy, is this really the place? Lily's eyes went wide as saucers. It's so fancy. This is it, sweetheart. Happy birthday. Lily had seen La Maison Rouge on a cooking show 6 months ago. She'd talked about it every day since. The chocolate cake, the golden chandeliers, the way the waiters wore white gloves. Marcus had called 3 weeks in advance. He'd saved for 2 months. Tonight was supposed to be perfect. He pushed open the heavy glass door. The hostess looked up from her podium. Her smile vanished the moment she saw them. Can I help you? Her tone suggested she hoped the answer was no. Reservation for Trent, 7 o'clock. The hostess glanced at her book, then back at Marcus, then at Lily's simple blue dress, the nicest one she owned. I'm sorry, sir, I don't see that name. Check again, I have the confirmation email right here. Marcus pulled out his phone. The hostess didn't look at it. Sir, perhaps there's been a mistake. This restaurant has a certain standard. What's that supposed to mean? It means, is there a problem here? A man in a crisp black suit appeared. His name tag read Derek Holloway, General Manager. He smiled the way people smile when they've already decided you don't belong. This gentleman claims he has a reservation, the hostess said. I can't find it. Derek's eyes traveled slowly over Marcus. The faded jacket, the calloused hands, the little girl with the homemade bow in her hair. Sir, La Maison Rouge maintains a strict dress code. I'm afraid we can't accommodate you this evening. I'm wearing a jacket and tie. Perhaps somewhere more family-oriented would suit your needs better. There's a diner 2 blocks east. Lily tugged Marcus's hand. Daddy, what's happening? Marcus felt heat rising in his chest. I made a reservation. I have confirmation. My daughter's been looking forward to this for months. Derek's smile didn't waver. Reservations can be canceled at management's discretion. We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. Anyone who looks like me, you mean? The restaurant had gone quiet. Forks hung suspended over plates. Conversations died mid-sentence. Every wealthy face turned to watch. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'm not going anywhere until you honor my reservation. Derek snapped his fingers. A security guard materialized from the shadows. Daddy, Lily's voice trembled. Why are they being mean to us? That voice, that small, confused, heartbroken voice. Marcus felt something crack inside him. Sweetheart, it's okay. We're going to get out. Derek's mask finally slipped. Now, before I call the police and have you removed for trespassing. His finger jabbed toward Marcus's chest. The security guard stepped closer. Lily burst into tears, and that's when the doors opened. Victoria Chen had been having the worst day of her career. The Tokyo merger was collapsing. Her CFO was plotting against her. The board was circling like sharks. She'd chosen La Maison Rouge because it was quiet, private. A place where she could drink expensive wine and pretend her empire wasn't crumbling. She did not expect to walk into a scene from her nightmares. The crying child, the father being pushed toward the door, the smug manager with his finger raised like a weapon. Victoria knew that posture, that humiliation, that helpless rage. She'd lived it. Then the man turned and Victoria's heart stopped. 15 years vanished in a single breath. She knew that face, those eyes, that jaw, Marcus Trent, the man who'd saved her life, the man she'd searched for and never found. The man who'd told her she would be someone important back when she was nobody, back when she was just a scared girl in a dark alley. He was here, and they were throwing him out like garbage. Victoria didn't think, she acted. The man you just humiliated, she said, her voice cutting through the restaurant like a blade, is worth $3 billion. Dead silence. Derek's face went white. I'm sorry, who? And he saved my life. Victoria walked forward. Her heels clicked against the marble floor, every step deliberate, every eye following. Ms. Chen. Derek's voice cracked. I didn't realize you were dining with us tonight. Your usual table is... I'm not here for a table. I'm here because you just tried to throw out Marcus Trent. Who? Marcus Trent, founder of Trent Capital, the private equity firm that just acquired controlling interest in your parent company's largest competitor. Victoria stopped directly in front of Derek. But you wouldn't know that, would you? Because you were too busy judging him by his jacket. Derek's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I want his reservation honored. I want the best table in this restaurant. And I want you to personally apologize to his daughter. Ms. Chen, I don't understand. He looked like what? Victoria's eyes were ice. Like someone who doesn't deserve basic human dignity, like someone whose money isn't good enough. Like someone you could humiliate in front of his child without consequences. Lily had stopped crying. She stared up at Victoria with wonder. Who are you? The little girl whispered. Victoria knelt down right there on the marble floor in her designer suit that cost more than most people's cars. She looked Lily directly in the eyes. I'm someone your daddy helped a long time ago, and I've been trying to find him ever since. She smiled. Happy birthday, sweetheart. Lily's face transformed. You know my daddy. I do. He's one of the best people I've ever met. Victoria stood and turned to Derek. Well, I'm waiting. Derek looked like he might be sick. Mr. Trent, I sincerely apologize. Please let me show you to our finest table. Dinner is on the house, the entire meal, whatever you want. Marcus hadn't moved. He was staring at Victoria like he'd seen a ghost. Victoria, her name in his voice, after 15 years. Hello, Marcus. The restaurant buzzed with whispers as they were led to a private corner booth. Crystal glasses appeared, menus bound in leather. A sommelier materialized with wine older than Lily. Marcus couldn't stop staring at Victoria. You became someone important, he said quietly. You told me I would. I didn't think you'd remember. Victoria laughed, a short, sharp sound that held 15 years of emotion. I remember everything about that night. Every word, every second. Lily looked between them with intense curiosity. Daddy, how do you know this lady? Marcus hesitated. Victoria answered for him. Your father saved me when I was young and scared and had nobody to help me. He was very brave. Like a superhero. Exactly like a superhero. Lily beamed at Marcus with new admiration. Daddy, you never told me you were a superhero. I'm not, sweetheart. He's modest, Victoria said. The best heroes always are. The food arrived. Course after course, Lily's eyes grew wider with each plate. When the chocolate cake came 3 tiers covered in gold leaf with a single candle, she gasped so loudly that nearby tables turned to look. Make a wish, Marcus said softly. Lily squeezed her eyes shut, Her lips moved silently, then she blew out the candle. "What did you wish for?" Victoria asked. Lily shook her head solemnly. "Can't tell. It won't come true." But she kept glancing between Victoria and her father with a look that said everything. After the cake, after Lily had been coaxed into a food coma against Marcus's shoulder, the two adults finally had a moment alone. "How did you find me?" Marcus asked. "I didn't. I was having the worst day of my life and I walked in here to forget about it. Then I saw you." 15 years. 15 years. Silence stretched between them, filled with everything unsaid. "I looked for you," Victoria admitted. "After I built Titan, after I had resources, I hired investigators. But Marcus Ward is a common name and you'd moved from Chicago. My name is Trent. Ward was my mother's name. I used it back then because..." He stopped. Because I was hiding from some bad people. I owed money, wrong kind of people." Victoria's expression shifted. "What happened?" Marcus looked down at Lily, sleeping peacefully. "Long story, different life. And now you're a billionaire who dresses like a construction worker. The clothes are comfortable." Victoria laughed despite herself. "You haven't changed. Neither have you. You still have that same fire in your eyes. I could see it from across the restaurant. The fire that's about to get me kicked out of my own company." "What?" Victoria sighed. The exhaustion she'd been hiding finally surfaced. "My CFO is staging a coup. He has half the board convinced I'm too emotional, too impulsive, too focused on growth over stability. There's a vote in 3 days. Can you stop it?" "I don't know, maybe. If I play the game right, if I don't make any mistakes." She looked at him. Walking in here and defending a strange man in front of 50 witnesses was probably not the strategically smart move. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It felt good. It felt like something I would have done 15 years ago before I learned to calculate every interaction." Victoria traced her finger around the rim of her wine glass. "I miss that person sometimes, the one who acted on instinct. She's still in there. Is she?" Marcus nodded slowly. "She walked through those doors tonight." Their eyes met. Something passed between them, recognition, memory, possibility. Then Lily stirred. "Daddy, can we go home? I'm sleepy." Marcus lifted her gently. "Time to go, sweetheart." Victoria stood. "Let me walk you out." "You don't have to." "I want to." Outside, the city hummed with nighttime energy. Lily was fully asleep now, her head on Marcus's shoulder. "She's beautiful," Victoria said. "She looks like you." She has her mother's smile. Her mother passed away 4 years ago, cancer. Victoria's hand flew to her mouth. "Marcus, I'm so sorry. I didn't know." "How could you? We haven't spoken in 15 years. Still, I'm sorry." Marcus adjusted Lily's weight. "She was a good woman. Better than me. Better than I deserved." "Don't say that." "It's true. I was still climbing out of the hole I dug in Chicago when I met her. She saw something in me I couldn't see in myself. Kind of like you did." Victoria felt something twist in her chest. "You saw it in me first. That night in the alley. You told me I was going to be someone. I meant it. I know you did. That's why I believed it." A car pulled up to the curb, Marcus's ride. "I should go," he said. "School night. Lily has a spelling test tomorrow." "Of course." He turned toward the car, then stopped. "Victoria." "Yes, I'm glad you found me." She smiled, a real smile, something she hadn't felt in months. "I'm glad I walked through those doors." He climbed into the car. The door closed. The engine hummed. Victoria watched until the taillights disappeared around the corner. Then she stood alone on the sidewalk, the most powerful woman in her industry, feeling like a college student again. The next morning, Victoria arrived at Titan Global headquarters at 6 a.m. Her assistant Rachel was already waiting with coffee and catastrophe. "The story broke," Rachel said, falling into step beside her. "What story?" Rachel handed her a tablet. The headline screamed across the screen: "Titan CEO's secret romance, Victoria Chen spotted with mystery man and chud." The photo showed Victoria kneeling in front of Lily, her face soft in a way the press never captured. Marcus stood behind them, protective, paternal, proud. Victoria's stomach dropped. "How did they? Someone at the restaurant? Probably staff. The article claims you're having an affair with a working-class single father. There's speculation you're planning to abandon your post to, and I quote, playhouse." "That's absurd. Raymond's already called an emergency board meeting. He's using this as evidence of your erratic personal judgment affecting professional decisions." Victoria closed her eyes. Of course he was. Raymond Holt had wanted her job since the day she was appointed CEO. He'd smiled and shaken her hand, and immediately started sharpening the knife for her back. "When's the meeting?" 2 hours. "Cancel my morning calls. I need to prepare." "Victoria." Rachel's voice softened. "Who is he?" "The man in the photo." Victoria looked at the image on the screen. Marcus's face, Lily's smile, the moment that had felt so pure, so right. "Someone I owed a debt to," she said, "and someone they're going to try to use against me." The boardroom was silent when Victoria entered. 12 faces watched her take her seat at the head of the table. Raymond sat directly across from her, barely containing his satisfaction. "Thank you all for coming on short notice," Victoria began. "I think we all know why we're here," Raymond interrupted. He slid a folder across the table. "Victoria, these photos are all over the internet. Our stock dropped 2% this morning. Investors are calling. They want to know if their CEO has lost her mind." A 2% dip is within normal fluctuation range. "The optics aren't normal. You were photographed kneeling on the floor in front of a child in a restaurant full of witnesses defending some man no one's ever heard of. His name is Marcus Trent. I don't care what his name is. What I care about is that the CEO of a Fortune 500 company is making public spectacles of herself over a romantic entanglement." Victoria kept her voice level. "There is no romantic entanglement." "Then explain the photos." "I walked into a restaurant and witnessed a man and his daughter being discriminated against. I intervened." "You intervened by announcing he was worth $3 billion. Is that true?" "Yes." Murmurs rippled around the table. Raymond leaned forward. "And how do you know this man?" "We met 15 years ago. He helped me during a difficult time." "That's convenient." "It's the truth. The truth is that you're compromised." Raymond stood playing to the board now. "You made a scene in public. You aligned yourself with someone outside our professional circle. You gave tabloids ammunition during the most sensitive negotiation period in our company's history. The Tokyo merger, which is now in jeopardy because our partners are questioning whether you have the stability to lead." Victoria felt the room shifting. Some board members looked uncomfortable. Others looked convinced. Raymond had been working them for months. "I have delivered record growth for 3 consecutive years," Victoria said. "I have expanded Titan into markets that doubled our valuation. I have navigated crises that would have destroyed lesser companies. And you want to remove me because I was kind to a child. I want to protect this company from your personal instability. This isn't about protection. It's about power." Victoria stood. "You've wanted my chair since the day I took it. You've questioned every decision, undermined every initiative, whispered to every board member who would listen. This isn't corporate governance. It's a coup." Raymond's mask slipped for just a second, a flash of pure hatred before the smooth smile returned. That's a serious accusation. It's the truth, and everyone in this room knows it. Silence. The board chairman, Thomas Way, cleared his throat. Perhaps we should table this discussion. Emotions are running high. Victoria, I suggest you take the day to consider your position. Raymond, stand down. We'll revisit this in 48 hours. 48 hours gives her time to manipulate. 48 hours, Thomas repeated firmly. That's final. Victoria gathered her materials. Her hands weren't shaking. She wouldn't let them shake. As she reached the door, Raymond's voice followed her. Victoria, she didn't turn. Whoever this man is, he's going to cost you everything. Victoria walked out without a word. She went to her office, closed the door, stood at the window looking out at Manhattan. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Saw the news, I'm sorry, this is my fault. Victoria stared at the message. How had he gotten her number? She typed back, it's not your fault, it's mine. The response came immediately, can we talk? Victoria looked at the boardroom visible through the glass across the atrium. Raymond was still in there laughing with two board members celebrating his near victory. Yes, she typed. Where? There's a coffee shop on 43rd, small place, private. I'll wait for you. Victoria grabbed her coat. Marcus was sitting in the back corner when she arrived. He stood when he saw her concern written across his face. I shouldn't have let you defend me, he said before she could speak. I should have just left, taken Lily and gone. Now you're... Stop. Victoria sat across from him. I made a choice. I'd make it again. They're trying to take your company. They've been trying for 3 years. This just gave them an excuse. Marcus's jaw tightened. Then we fix it. How? I don't know yet, but there has to be a way. He leaned forward. Victoria, you built something incredible. I've watched Titan for years. Not because of you, I didn't know you were connected, but because your company does things right. You treat employees well. You invest in communities. You don't just extract wealth, you create it. That matters. You've been watching Titan. I invest in companies that align with my values. Titan was at the top of my list. Victoria blinked. You invest in Titan. Through subsidiaries. Nothing direct. I prefer to stay invisible. Why? Marcus looked down at his coffee. Because visibility attracts attention, and attention attracts people who want to take what you've built. Sounds like you learned that the hard way. Chicago taught me a lot. Victoria studied him. The lines around his eyes, the gray at his temples, the weight he carried that hadn't been there 15 years ago. What happened to you, Marcus, after that night in the alley? He was quiet for a long moment. I was in trouble, he finally said. Deep trouble. I owed money to people who don't accept late payments. I was working construction by day and running numbers by night, trying to dig myself out of a hole that just kept getting deeper. Numbers. Gambling debts, mine and my brother's. He got sick, really sick, and the medical bills destroyed us. I made bad choices trying to cover it. Victoria's heart ached. I had no idea. You had your own problems. That night in the alley, those men weren't random. They were collectors. They saw you talking to me earlier and thought you were connected. I led them to you. Marcus. I've carried that guilt for 15 years. When I stepped in, when I got between you and them, part of me was just trying to undo my own mistake. You got hurt protecting me. I deserved worse. No. Victoria reached across the table and took his hand. You were struggling and you still put yourself in danger for a stranger. That's not guilt. That's character. Marcus looked at her hand on his. After that night, I knew I had to change. I worked 3 jobs, paid off every debt, started over in New York with nothing but a toolbox and a work ethic. Built a construction company, sold it, built another one, sold that too. Started investing the profits, got lucky, got smart, got rich. And never told anyone. Who would I tell? And why money doesn't make you a good person. I watched wealthy people my whole life, the way they treat waiters, the way they talk about people who work with their hands. I never wanted to become that. So you dress like a construction worker and take your daughter to fancy restaurants just to see what happens. Marcus smiled, the first real smile she'd seen from him. I take my daughter to fancy restaurants because she wants to go. What happens when we get there tells me everything I need to know about the people inside. And tonight I learned that La Maison Rouge doesn't deserve my business. And I learned that Victoria Chen is exactly who I thought she was 15 years ago. Their eyes met. "Who's that?" Victoria asked softly. "Someone worth fighting for." They talked for 2 hours. About Lily's mother Sarah, a teacher who'd loved books and bad puns and died too young. About Victoria's father who'd built the first version of Titan and never lived to see what she'd make of it. About loneliness and loss and the strange paths that bring people together. When Victoria's phone buzzed with her 15th ignored message from Rachel, she finally stood. "I have to go." "I know. Raymond won't stop. He'll dig into you, into your past, into everything. Let him dig. You don't understand. He's ruthless. If there's anything—" "Victoria." Marcus stood looking directly into her eyes. "I spent 15 years building something clean. Every dollar is documented. Every business is legitimate. I clawed my way out of that hole, one honest deal at a time. Let him dig. He won't find what he's looking for. He'll find the Chicago connection. Then let him explain to the board why a man who paid off gambling debts 20 years ago is somehow relevant to your ability to run a company." Victoria shook her head. "It's not that simple. Nothing worth having ever is." Marcus hesitated, then reached into his pocket. He pulled out a worn photograph, creased, faded, clearly carried for years. It showed 2 people sitting on a curb. A young woman with tears on her cheeks, a young man with blood on his shirt, both of them somehow smiling. "Someone took this that night," Marcus said. "One of the people in the apartment above the alley. They sent it to me later. I don't know how they found me." Victoria stared at the photo. The memory crashed over her like a wave. The fear, the relief, the strange peace she'd felt sitting next to this stranger who'd risked everything for nothing. "You kept it." "I kept it." "Why?" Marcus pressed the photo into her hands. "Because that night sitting on that curb, I realized something. I realized that the world isn't just full of people trying to take from you. Sometimes there are people worth giving everything for." He closed her fingers around the photograph. "You were the first person who made me believe that, and you still are." Victoria couldn't speak. "Go back to your company," Marcus said gently. "Fight your battle. Win your war. And when you're done, when you've proven to everyone that you're exactly as strong as I always knew you were, yes, call me. I'll be waiting." Victoria looked at the photo in her hands, at the 2 young people who had no idea what the future held, at the moment that had changed both their lives. She put the photo in her pocket close to her heart. Then she walked out into the city ready to fight. Victoria walked back into Titan headquarters with fire in her blood. The photograph burned against her chest, a reminder of who she used to be, who she still could be. Rachel intercepted her at the elevator. "Where have you been? Raymond's been." "I don't care what Raymond's been doing. Get me everything we have on his communications for the past 6 months. Every email, every meeting, every phone call." Rachel's eyes widened. "Victoria, that's legal if I have board authorization. Get Thomas Way on the phone now. He's already called 3 times. Then call him back." Victoria stepped into the elevator. The doors closed. She caught her reflection in the polished steel, a woman who looked exhausted, cornered, desperate. No, not desperate. Determined. The photograph crinkled in her pocket. She pulled out her phone and texted Marcus. "Thank you for everything." His response came immediately, "Win." One word, that's all she needed. The elevator doors opened. Victoria stepped out ready for war. Thomas Way was waiting in her office. He stood when she entered, his face grave. "Victoria, we need to talk." "Yes, we do. Raymond is gathering votes. He has 4 board members committed. He only needs 2 more." "I know. He's claiming you've lost objectivity, that your personal life is interfering with company decisions." "My personal life is a single dinner with an old friend. An old friend who happens to be a mysterious billionaire that nobody's ever heard of." Thomas sat heavily. "Victoria, I've supported you since your father died. I believed in your vision. But you have to understand how this looks. It looks like I defended a man and his daughter from discrimination. It looks like you're hiding something." Victoria sat across from him. "What do you want to know? Who is Marcus Trent really?" "He's the founder of Trent Capital. Private equity. Very private. He doesn't do press, doesn't attend events, doesn't seek attention. Why? Because he believes money should be a tool, not an identity." Thomas studied her. "And your connection to him?" Victoria pulled out the photograph. She handed it across the desk. Thomas looked at it for a long moment, the 2 young people, the curb, the blood, the smiles. 15 years ago, Victoria said, "I was a broke college student working nights at a diner. Some men attacked me in an alley. Marcus, I knew him as Marcus Ward, then he stepped in. He got hurt protecting me. We sat on that curb together and he told me I was going to be someone important one day. And you never saw him again. Not until last night, not until I walked into that restaurant and saw them trying to throw him out." Thomas handed back the photograph. "Raymond will use this. Let him. He'll say you're emotionally compromised, that your judgment is clouded by some old romantic attachment. There was no romantic attachment. There was a scared girl and a brave stranger and one conversation that changed my life. That's a beautiful story, Victoria, but stories don't win board votes." "Then what does—" Thomas leaned forward. "Proof that Raymond is the one who's compromised. Proof that this coup isn't about protecting the company, it's about protecting himself." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "What do you know?" "Rumors, nothing concrete. But Raymond's been meeting with external investors, people who would benefit from a leadership change." "Who?" "I don't have names, but if you can find them, if you can prove he's been negotiating against company interests, the board will turn on him." Victoria stood. "Then that's what I'll do. You have 48 hours. I only need 24. Thomas rose. At the door, he paused. "Victoria, your father would be proud of how you're fighting. Would he? He always said you had more spine than anyone he'd ever met. He was right." Thomas left. Victoria stood alone in her office, the photograph still in her hand. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Victoria Chen, we should talk. I have information about Raymond Holt that you need to hear. Meet me at the parking garage, level B3 in 1 hour. Come alone." Victoria stared at the message. It could be a trap. It could be Raymond trying to catch her in something compromising. It could also be the break she needed. She grabbed her coat and headed for the elevator. The parking garage was cold and empty. Victoria's footsteps echoed against concrete as she descended to level B3. A figure waited near the far wall. Female, mid-30s, nervous. "Ms. Chen." "Who are you?" "My name is Sandra Walsh. I'm Raymond Holt's executive assistant." The woman stepped closer. Her hands were shaking. "I've worked for him for 7 years. I've seen everything. Why are you here? Because he's going to destroy you and you don't deserve it. Sandra's voice cracked. And because if I don't do something now, I'll never be able to live with myself. Victoria moved closer. What do you have? Sandra pulled out a flash drive. Emails, meeting records, financial transactions. Raymond has been coordinating with Nexus Capital for 8 months. They want to acquire Titan at a discount. The only way that happens is if you're removed in the stock tanks. Victoria's blood ran cold. He's orchestrating a hostile takeover. From the inside, he gets a $20 million payout if the deal goes through. It's all documented. Dates, amounts, correspondence. Why didn't you come forward before? Sandra's eyes filled with tears. Because he threatened me. He said if I ever talked, he'd destroy my career. He said no one would believe an assistant over a CFO. She pressed the drive into Victoria's hand. But last night I saw what he did to you. I saw how he smiled when those photos came out. And I realized he's not going to stop. He's never going to stop unless someone stops him. Victoria closed her fingers around the drive. This is everything I need. Everything. Bank records, offshore accounts, secret communications with Nexus executives. It's all there. Sandra, why risk this if Raymond finds out? My mother worked for your father for 22 years. She believed in this company. She believed in what it stood for. Sandra wiped her eyes. Raymond wants to sell it off for parts. I won't let that happen. Victoria put her hand on Sandra's shoulder. Thank you. I won't forget this. Just promise me one thing. Anything. When you win, and you will win, make sure he never hurts anyone else. I promise. Sandra disappeared into the shadows. Victoria stood alone, the flash drive burning in her palm. She had 47 hours left. She didn't need them. Victoria returned to her office and locked the door. She plugged in the flash drive and began to read. The evidence was damning. Email after email detailing Raymond's conspiracy, meeting notes from secret sessions with Nexus Capital, wire transfers to offshore accounts, a timeline that proved he'd been planning this for nearly a year. But the most devastating document was a recording, audio from a phone call just 3 days ago. Raymond's voice, the Chen situation is handled. Once the board removes her, we move forward with the acquisition. Nexus gets the assets, I get my payout, and everyone wins. Another voicemail, older. What about the loyalists? Thomas Wei has been protecting her. Raymond. Thomas is old, sentimental. Once Victoria's gone, he'll fall in line or retire. Either way, he's not a threat. And if she fights back, Raymond laughed, with what her reputation is already destroyed. By tomorrow, every major outlet will be running stories about her secret romance with some mystery man. She'll be too busy defending her personal life to see the knife coming. You're certain about this? I've been planning it for months. Victoria Chen is finished. She just doesn't know it yet. Victoria stopped the recording. Her hands were trembling not with fear but with rage. He'd been planning this for months. While she was growing the company, expanding into new markets, creating thousands of jobs, Raymond had been scheming to tear it all down. And he'd used her one moment of genuine human connection as the weapon. Victoria picked up her phone and called Thomas Wei. I have everything, she said. Call an emergency board meeting tonight. Tonight, Victoria, it's almost 9 o'clock. Raymond is planning a hostile takeover. He's been working with Nexus Capital for 8 months. I have proof, emails, financial records, a recorded phone call. Silence on the line. Thomas, did you hear me? I heard you. His voice was tight. Where did you get this? His assistant. She came to me. Sandra Walsh. You know her. I know her mother worked for your father for decades. I also know that Raymond fired Sandra this afternoon. Victoria's stomach dropped. What? He called it a restructuring decision. She was escorted out 2 hours ago. He knows she talked to me. Or he suspected she might. Either way, she's out. which means he's covering his tracks. Then we move faster. Tonight, Thomas, before he can destroy any more evidence. Another pause. Then, I'll make the calls. 1 hour. Be ready. Victoria hung up. Her mind was racing. If Raymond knew Sandra had betrayed him, he might be destroying evidence right now. She had the flash drive, but a good lawyer could claim the files were fabricated, stolen, inadmissible. She needed something more, something Raymond couldn't deny. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. How's the war going? Victoria typed back, I have evidence, but I need to catch him in the act. Any ideas? The response came quickly. What kind of act? He's working with outside investors to orchestrate a takeover. If I can get him to admit it on record, then you need to make him think he's already won. Victoria stared at the message. Then she understood. She called Thomas back. Change of plans, she said. I need you to do something for me, something that's going to look like betrayal. What are you thinking? Victoria told him. When she finished, Thomas was quiet for a long moment. That's either brilliant or insane. It's both. If it doesn't work, then I lose everything. But if it does work, Raymond goes down tonight. Thomas sighed. Your father would have loved this plan. Is that a yes? It's a yes. God help us both. 1 hour later, Victoria sat in the boardroom. Raymond sat across from her, barely containing his triumph. The other board members filed in, their faces a mix of confusion and concern. Thomas Way entered last. He didn't look at Victoria. Thank you all for coming on such short notice, Thomas said. I've called this meeting because I've received troubling information about our CEO's conduct. Victoria kept her expression neutral. Raymond leaned forward, savoring every word. It has come to my attention, Thomas continued, that Victoria Chen has been conducting unauthorized negotiations with external parties regarding company assets. Given the sensitivity of these allegations, I believe we must address them immediately. Victoria felt the room turn against her. Board members exchanged glances. Raymond's smile grew wider. Thomas, Victoria said, her voice steady. These allegations are false. Then you won't mind if we discuss them openly. Thomas pulled out a folder. I have documents here that suggest you've been in secret communication with Nexus Capital regarding a potential acquisition. The room went still. Raymond's smile faltered for just a second. Then it returned, brighter than before. This is exactly what I've been warning about, Raymond said. Victoria's judgment has been compromised. First the scandal with this mystery man, now secret negotiations. The pattern is clear. I have never communicated with Nexus Capital, Victoria said firmly. Then explain these emails. Thomas slid a paper across the table. Victoria looked at it. Her blood ran cold. The email appeared to be from her account. It detailed a proposed acquisition deal with Nexus Capital, the exact deal Raymond had been orchestrating, but she hadn't written it. This is fabricated, Victoria said. Of course you'd say that. Raymond stood, playing to the room. Ladies and gentlemen, I take no pleasure in this. Victoria has been a capable leader, but the evidence is overwhelming. She's been working against company interests while hiding behind a facade of integrity. Raymond, Victoria's voice cut through his performance. Who gave you these documents? That's not relevant. It's absolutely relevant because I have documents too. Victoria pulled out the flash drive. Documents that show you, not me, have been coordinating with Nexus Capital for 8 months. Raymond's face went pale. I have your emails, Raymond, your meeting notes, your offshore account transfers. Victoria stood. And I have a recording of you 3 days ago discussing how you plan to destroy me and sell this company for parts. The room erupted. That's impossible. Raymond's voice cracked. Those files are fabricated. She's lying. Then let's play the recording. Victoria looked at Thomas. With the board's permission. Thomas nodded slowly. Play it. Victoria connected the drive to the room's audio system. Raymond's voice filled the space. The Chen situation is handled. Once the board removes her, we move forward with the acquisition. Nexus gets the assets, I get my payout, and everyone wins. The color drained from Raymond's face completely. Victoria Chen is finished. She just doesn't know it yet. The recording ended. Silence hung over the room like a death sentence. I didn't. Raymond looked around wildly. This is a setup. She's framing me. Is this your voice, Raymond? Thomas asked quietly. It's been altered, manipulated. Is this your voice? Raymond's mouth opened and closed. No words came. Victoria stepped forward. 8 months ago, you began secret negotiations with Nexus Capital to orchestrate a hostile takeover of Titan Global. You planned to remove me as CEO, tank the stock price, and sell the company at a discount in exchange for a $20 million personal payout. You can't prove. I have bank records showing transfers to an offshore account in the Caymans. I have emails detailing every step of your plan. I have testimony from your former assistant, who you fired this afternoon to keep her quiet. Victoria's voice was steel. And now I have a recording of you admitting everything in your own words. Raymond grabbed the edge of the table. His hands were shaking. This is entrapment. You set me up. I didn't set you up, Raymond. I just stopped pretending not to see what you were doing. Thomas stood. I'm calling for an immediate vote. All those in favor of removing Raymond Holt from his position as CFO and launching a formal investigation into his conduct say aye. One by one the votes came. Aye. 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 11 voices, unanimous. Raymond slumped in his chair. His face had gone gray. The man who'd spent months planning Victoria's destruction sat, broken, defeated, exposed. Security will escort you out, Thomas said. Your access to all company systems has been revoked. Legal will be in touch regarding potential criminal charges. 2 guards entered. Raymond stood slowly, his eyes never leaving Victoria. This isn't over, he hissed. You think you've won, but you haven't. People like me always land on our feet. Maybe, Victoria said, but you won't land here. The guards led him away. The door closed. The boardroom was silent for a long moment, then Thomas spoke. Victoria, on behalf of the entire board, I apologize for what you've been through. Your leadership of this company has never been in question, not by anyone with integrity. Victoria nodded. Her hands were still steady, but inside she was shaking. What happens now? Asked one of the board members. Now we move forward. Victoria straightened her shoulders. We have a company to run a Tokyo merger to close and a reputation to restore. Raymond wanted to tear Titan apart. Instead, we're going to make it stronger. The board members began to file out, offering nods of support and murmured congratulations. Thomas lingered. That was a hell of a gamble, he said quietly. It worked. It could have gone the other way. But it didn't. Thomas smiled. Your father used to say the same thing. Every time he took a risk, that paid off. He headed for the door, then paused. Go home, Victoria. Get some sleep. You've earned it. He left. Victoria stood alone in the empty boardroom. She pulled out her phone and typed a message to Marcus. I won. The response came instantly. I never doubted it. Victoria smiled, really smiled for the first time in days. Thank you, she typed, for the photograph, for believing in me, for everything. You did this yourself. I just reminded you who you are. Can I see you tomorrow? A pause, then, Lily wants to show you her spelling test. She got every word right. I'd love to see it. Then come for dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and a 7-year-old who won't stop talking about the nice lady from the restaurant. Victoria laughed out loud alone in the boardroom at midnight. I'll be there, she typed. We'll be waiting. Victoria gathered her things and walked toward the elevator. The building was empty now, quiet, peaceful. She'd won. Against Raymond, against the board, against everyone who tried to use her one moment of genuine human connection as a weapon. But as the elevator descended, she realized something. The victory wasn't about power. It wasn't about proving herself to shareholders or silencing critics or protecting her position. It was about standing up for what was right, about defending a man and his daughter who deserved better, about refusing to let fear dictate her choices. Marcus had taught her that 15 years ago on a cold curb in Chicago. Tonight she'd finally understood what it meant. The elevator doors opened. Victoria stepped out into the night. Somewhere across the city, a single father and his daughter were waiting. And for the first time in years, Victoria knew exactly where she belonged. But as she reached for her car keys, her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. No name, just a message. Victoria Chen, you think you've won. But Raymond Holt was just the beginning. We're coming for everything you love, starting with Marcus Trent. Victoria's blood turned to ice. She dialed Marcus immediately. No answer. She dialed again. Nothing. She ran for her car, heart pounding, hands shaking. The night wasn't over. It was just beginning. Victoria's hands shook as she fumbled with her car keys. She dialed Marcus again. Straight to voicemail. Marcus, call me back. Now, please. She threw herself into the driver's seat and tore out of the parking garage. Her mind raced through possibilities. Who sent that message? What did they want? How did they know about Marcus Raymond? It had to be connected to Raymond, but Raymond was finished. His career was over. His reputation destroyed, unless he wasn't working alone. Victoria pressed harder on the accelerator. The streets blurred past. She ran 2 red lights. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered immediately. Marcus? Ms. Chen. A man's voice. Cold, professional, unfamiliar. Your friend Mr. Trent is unavailable at the moment. Victoria's heart stopped. Who is this? Someone who's been watching your little power struggle with great interest. Raymond Holt was useful but ultimately disposable. You, on the other hand, you're the real prize. What do you want? What everyone wants, Ms. Chen: control, influence, money. A pause. Titan Global has all 3. If you've hurt Marcus, Mr. Trent is fine. For now. His daughter is sleeping peacefully in her bed. His sister is watching television downstairs, completely unaware that her brother went out an hour ago and hasn't come back. Victoria's blood ran cold. You're watching them. I'm watching everyone, Ms. Chen. I've been watching for months. Raymond was my instrument, but instruments can be replaced. What do you want? Victoria repeated, her voice harder now. I want Titan Global. I want you to resign tomorrow morning and recommend the board accept a generous acquisition offer from Nexus Capital. In exchange, Mr. Trent goes home to his daughter, you walk away with your reputation intact, and everyone lives happily ever after. And if I refuse, then Mr. Trent disappears permanently, and his little girl grows up wondering why Daddy never came home. Victoria pulled over to the side of the road. She couldn't drive. She couldn't think. She couldn't breathe. You're bluffing. Am I? Would you like to test that theory? Because I assure you, Ms. Chen, I don't bluff. I execute. Precisely. Efficiently. Without mercy. Who are you? You'll find out soon enough. For now, all you need to know is that you have until 9 a.m. tomorrow to make your decision. Resign and recommend the acquisition, or watch everything you care about burn. The line went dead. Victoria sat in her car alone, trembling. The city hummed around her, oblivious to the nightmare unfolding. She had to think. She had to act. She had to save Marcus. But how? Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. An address on the waterfront. Below it, a photo. Marcus, unconscious, slumped in a chair. Blood on his forehead. Victoria's scream echoed through the empty street. She drove toward the waterfront like a woman possessed, every traffic law abandoned, every instinct focused on a single goal. Find Marcus, save Marcus, make whoever did this pay. The address led to an abandoned warehouse near the docks. Victoria parked a block away and approached on foot. Her heels clicked against the cracked pavement. She should have called the police, she should have called someone, but the voice on the phone had been clear. Come alone or Marcus dies. She pushed open the rusted door. The warehouse was vast and dark. A single light hung from the ceiling, illuminating a chair in the center of the space. Marcus sat in the chair, hands bound, head hanging, blood dried on his temple. Marcus! Victoria ran toward him. Stop! The voice came from the shadows. Victoria froze. A figure emerged. Male, tall, expensive suit, silver hair, a face she recognized from business magazines and shareholder meetings. Edward Cross, founder of Nexus Capital, one of the most powerful men in finance. Ms. Chen, how nice of you to join us. Victoria's mind reeled. You're behind this. I'm behind many things, Ms. Chen. Raymond was merely one asset among dozens. When he failed, I was forced to take more direct action. This is insane. You can't just kidnap people. You can't. I can do whatever I want. Cross stepped closer. Do you know how I built Nexus Capital? Not through fairness, not through hard work, through leverage, through control, through understanding that everyone has something they're willing to sacrifice everything for. He gestured at Marcus. For him, it's his daughter. For you, apparently, it's him. Victoria's jaw tightened. Let him go. After you sign the resignation letter. After you recommend the board accept my acquisition offer. After I get what I want. And if I sign, you'll just let us walk away. Cross smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. I'm a businessman, Ms. Chen, not a monster. I don't kill people unless it's absolutely necessary. Bad for optics. Bad for business. You beat an unconscious man and call yourself a businessman. He fought back. My associates were enthusiastic. Cross shrugged. He'll heal, assuming you cooperate. Victoria looked at Marcus. His chest rose and fell slowly. Alive. Still alive. I need proof he's okay. Cross nodded to someone in the shadows. A figure approached Marcus and slapped him hard across the face. Marcus jerked awake. His eyes found Victoria immediately. Victoria, no, run, get out of here. I'm not leaving you. You have to. He's going to. Shut up! One of Cross's men pressed a gun to Marcus's temple. Victoria's heart stopped. Here's how this is going to work, Cross said. You're going to sign these documents. Then you're going to call Thomas Wei and tell him you've decided to resign for personal reasons. Then you're going to disappear from public life. If you do all of that, Mr. Trent goes free. If you don't, the gun cocked. Things get messy. Victoria's mind raced. She needed time. She needed leverage. She needed something. How do I know you'll keep your word? You don't. But you know I'll keep my threat. Marcus struggled against his bonds. Victoria, don't do this. Don't give him what he wants. Titan is your father's legacy. It's everything you've built. Don't. Lily needs her father. Marcus froze. I can rebuild a company, Victoria said. I can't rebuild a life. Cross's smile widened. How touching. See, Mr. Trent. She does care about you. He pulled a folder from his briefcase and placed it on a nearby table. The documents are ready. Sign here, here, and here, then we all go home. Victoria walked toward the table. Her legs felt like lead. Every step was a surrender. She picked up the pen. Victoria, Marcus's voice cracked. Please don't do this for me. I'm not doing it for you. She looked at him. I'm doing it for Lily. She uncapped the pen. Wait. A new voice. Female. Coming from the warehouse entrance. Victoria spun around. Sandra Walsh stood in the doorway, behind her 6 police officers with weapons drawn. Edward Cross, you're under arrest for kidnapping, extortion, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Cross's face twisted with fury. How? I called them. Sandra stepped forward. When you fired me, you forgot to revoke my access to the company email server. I saw the messages between Raymond and your people. I saw everything. The officers swarmed the warehouse. Cross's men dropped their weapons immediately. Cross himself stood frozen, calculating, looking for an exit that didn't exist. This isn't over, he hissed at Victoria. Yes, it is. The officers handcuffed Cross and led him away. Victoria rushed to Marcus, fingers fumbling with the ropes binding his hands. Are you okay? Can you walk? How badly are they? Victoria? Marcus caught her hands, held them still. I'm okay. I'm okay. You're bleeding. Head wounds look worse than they are. He tried to smile. Failed. I'm sorry, I should have been more careful. I should have known they were watching. This isn't your fault. Isn't it? If I hadn't walked into that restaurant, if you hadn't defended me, none of this would have happened. If I hadn't defended you, I would have hated myself forever. Victoria touched his face gently. Some things are worth fighting for. You taught me that. Marcus closed his eyes. His hand came up to cover hers. Lily, safe. I checked. Your sister's still with her. She doesn't know anything. Thank God. An officer approached. Ms. Chen, we're going to need statements from both of you, and Mr. Trent should see a paramedic. Of course. Victoria helped Marcus to his feet. He swayed slightly. She steadied him. Lean on me. I'm fine. You're bleeding and you can barely stand. Lean on me. Marcus looked at her. Something shifted in his expression, gratitude, wonder, something deeper. You were going to sign those papers. Yes. You were going to give up everything. Yes. For me. Victoria met his eyes. You jumped between me and 3 armed men 15 years ago. You took a beating to protect a stranger. Did you think I'd do any less? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then, I think I underestimated you. Most people do. Sandra approached them, her face pale but determined. Are you both okay? Thanks to you. Victoria reached out and gripped Sandra's hand. How did you know? After you left the parking garage, I started digging deeper. I found communications between Raymond and Cross that I'd missed before, when I saw the messages about surveillance on Mr. Trent. I knew something was wrong. I called the police and told them everything. You saved our lives. Sandra shook her head. You saved mine first. You gave me proof that standing up for what's right still matters. After years of watching Raymond operate, I'd almost forgotten. The officers led them out of the warehouse. An ambulance waited on the street. Paramedics rushed forward. Victoria watched them tend to Marcus's wounds, a gash on his forehead, bruised ribs, rope burns on his wrists. He'd fought. Of course he'd fought. Her phone buzzed. Thomas Way. Victoria, I just heard. Are you all right? I'm fine. Marcus is injured but stable. The police called me. Edward Cross, this goes deeper than Raymond. Much deeper. The board needs to be informed. Tomorrow, tonight, I need to make sure Marcus gets home safely. A pause, then, Victoria, what you did refusing to sign those papers even under that pressure. I was about to sign Thomas, if Sandra hadn't arrived. But you hesitated. You stalled. You gave help time to arrive. That's not weakness, that's strategy. Victoria looked at Marcus now, sitting on the ambulance gurney, a paramedic stitching the cut on his head. It wasn't strategy, she said quietly. It was faith. Faith in what? That doing the right thing eventually matters. That the people who try to win through cruelty eventually lose. That 15 years ago, a stranger risked everything for me and the universe. Keeps finding ways to remind me why. Thomas was quiet for a moment. Your father used to talk like that. At the end, when he knew he was dying, he told me the only regret he had was not trusting his instincts more, not fighting harder for what mattered. I didn't know that. He wanted you to be different, stronger, braver. Thomas's voice softened. He would have been proud of you tonight, Victoria. More proud than he ever was of any quarterly report. Victoria felt tears prick her eyes. Thank you, Thomas. Go take care of your friend. We'll handle the rest tomorrow. The call ended. Victoria walked toward the ambulance. Marcus looked up as she approached. The paramedic finished the last stitch and stepped away. 7 stitches, Marcus said. New personal record. You're joking about this. If I don't joke, I'll think about what could have happened, and I can't think about that. Not yet. Victoria sat beside him on the gurney. Their shoulders touched. I need to call your sister. She'll be worried. I already texted her. Told her I had a flat tire and I'm getting it fixed. You lied to her. I didn't want her to panic. I'll explain tomorrow. Marcus looked at Victoria. When Lily's at school, when I can think clearly, you should stay somewhere else tonight in case Cross has other people watching your place. Where would I go? Victoria hesitated. Then my apartment. I have a guest room, good security. No one would think to look there. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Your apartment. It's practical, that's all. Practical. Don't make it weird. Marcus almost smiled. I'm not making it weird. You're the one whose face just turned red. I'm not. Victoria stopped. Fine. It's a little weird, but the offer stands. What about Lily? Your sister can stay with her tonight. You can see her first thing in the morning. Marcus was quiet, processing. Then he nodded slowly. Okay, but I'm sleeping on the couch. I said I have a guest room. And I said I'm sleeping on the couch. Victoria opened her mouth to argue, then stopped. There was something in his expression, something stubborn and proud and fundamentally Marcus. Fine. The couch is yours. The ride to Victoria's apartment was quiet. Marcus stared out the window, lost in thought. Victoria drove carefully, checking the mirrors, constantly searching for anyone who might be following. Her building rose against the night sky. Doormen, security cameras, access-controlled elevators. You live in a fortress, Marcus observed. I live alone. Precautions matter. They rode the elevator in silence. Victoria's apartment took up the entire top floor. When the doors opened, Marcus stopped. This is bigger than I expected. It's too big, I know. I bought it because my real estate advisor said it was a good investment. Most nights I just use the bedroom and the kitchen. And the rest sits empty, waiting for a life I never built. Marcus looked at her. There was no judgment in his expression, only understanding. I know what that's like. Victoria showed him the living room. The couch was Italian leather, probably worth more than most people's cars. There are blankets in the closet. The bathroom's through that door. Kitchen's around the corner if you get hungry. Victoria. She stopped. Thank you. For tonight. For everything. You would have done the same for me. I did do the same for you 15 years ago, and I've been trying to repay that debt ever since. Marcus stepped closer. It wasn't a debt. It was never a debt. Then what was it? Instinct. I saw someone who needed help and I helped. That's all. That's not all. Victoria's voice caught. You saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. You told me I was going to be someone. You believed it before I did. I just told the truth. The truth saved my life. Maybe not that night, but the next month, the next year, every time I wanted to quit and couldn't because some stranger's words were ringing in my ears. Marcus was silent. I built Titan Global because of those words. Victoria continued. I survived my father's death because of them. I fought Raymond because of them. Everything I am, everything I've become started on that curb in Chicago. Victoria, so don't tell me it wasn't a debt. Don't tell me you just did what anyone would do. Because that's not true. Most people walk past. Most people pretend they don't see. You saw. You stopped. You stayed. Marcus reached out. His hand touched her face, gentle, careful, like she might break. I saw someone worth saving, he said quietly. That's all. Someone worth believing in. Their eyes met. The distance between them shrank to inches. Lily, Victoria whispered. What? Lily needs you. She needs her father whole and healthy and present, not tangled up in my mess. Marcus's hand dropped. He stepped back. You're right. I know I'm right, but that doesn't make this easier. No, Victoria wrapped her arms around herself. It doesn't. They stood in silence, the weight of 15 years and one impossible night pressing down on them. I should sleep, Marcus finally said. Yes, tomorrow's going to be complicated. Very. Victoria. She looked at him. Whatever happens next, whatever comes after tonight, I want you to know something. What? Marcus held her gaze. That night in Chicago when I told you that you'd be someone important. I meant it, but I didn't know the half of it. You're not just important, you're extraordinary, and anyone who can't see that is a fool. Victoria's throat tightened. Good night, Marcus. Good night, Victoria. She walked to her bedroom and closed the door, leaned against it. Let the tears fall. In the living room, Marcus lay on the couch that cost more than his first car. He stared at the ceiling. Sleep didn't come for either of them. Because both of them knew that tomorrow would change everything, and neither of them knew if they were ready. The night stretched on silent and endless, and somewhere in the city in a police station, Edward Cross sat in an interrogation room, his silver hair disheveled. His expensive suit wrinkled. He wasn't broken, not yet, he was planning. Because men like Edward Cross didn't accept defeat, they regrouped, they recalculated, they found new angles, new leverage, new weapons. Victoria Chen had won tonight. But the war was far from over, and the next attack would come from somewhere she'd never expect. Victoria woke to the smell of coffee. For a moment, she forgot everything. The warehouse, the gun, the threat. Then reality crashed back and she bolted upright. Marcus. She threw on a robe and rushed to the living room. He stood in her kitchen, bruised and bandaged, making breakfast like he belonged there. Eggs sizzled in a pan. Toast sat on a plate, coffee steamed in 2 mugs. You're supposed to be resting. Marcus looked up, smiled despite the stitches on his forehead. I don't rest well. Never have. You were kidnapped 12 hours ago, and now I'm making eggs. It's called moving forward. Victoria walked closer. In the morning light, his injuries looked worse. Purple bruises across his jaw. Swelling around his left eye. Rope burns visible beneath his rolled sleeves. Marcus, I'm fine. You're not fine. I'm alive. Lily still has a father. You still have a company. He slid the eggs onto a plate. In my book, that's fine. Victoria accepted the plate. Their fingers brushed. Neither pulled away. I called your sister this morning, she said. Lily's asking for you. I know, I talked to her an hour ago. And I told her Daddy had to help a friend with something important, but I'd be home soon. Marcus's jaw tightened. She asked if the friend was the pretty lady from the restaurant. Victoria felt heat rise to her cheeks. What did you say? I said yes. They ate in silence. The coffee was strong, exactly how Victoria liked it. She didn't ask how he knew. Her phone buzzed. Thomas Way. Victoria, we need to talk. The board's been contacted by Cross's lawyers. Already? They're claiming entrapment. They say Sandra Walsh was working with you to fabricate evidence and frame their client. Victoria's stomach dropped. That's insane. Insane but effective. If they can create enough doubt, Cross might walk. He kidnapped Marcus. He threatened to kill him. And his lawyers are arguing that Marcus was never in real danger, that it was a business negotiation that got heated. They're painting you as the aggressor. Victoria gripped the phone tighter. What do? We need more evidence, something that proves Cross's intent beyond doubt. The recording from Raymond helps, but Cross's lawyers are claiming he was never directly involved. He was standing in that warehouse. He was giving orders. Your word against his, and his lawyers are very good at creating reasonable doubt. Victoria closed her eyes. How long do we have? Cross's bail hearing is this afternoon. If his lawyers succeed, he'll be out by tonight. And then he comes after you with everything he has. The call ended. Victoria set down her phone. He might walk, she said to Marcus. I heard. After everything he did, after threatening Lily, after having you beaten, he might just walk away. Marcus set down his coffee. Then we don't let him. How Thomas says we need more evidence. There is more evidence. Marcus's eyes hardened. Cross didn't build that operation overnight. He has partners, contacts, people who know where the bodies are buried. Even if they exist, why would they talk? Because Cross isn't the only one who understands leverage. Marcus stood. I spent 15 years building relationships in places most people don't look. Construction unions, shipping companies, private security firms. People talk to me because I started where they started. You think you can find something? I think I know someone who already has. Marcus pulled out his phone and dialed. Victoria watched pulse quickening. Jimmy, it's Marcus Trent. A pause. I know it's been a while. I need a favor. Another pause. Edward Cross, you know him? Marcus's expression darkened. I thought you might. We need to meet, today. He hung up. Who's Jimmy? Jimmy DeLuca. Used to work for my construction company back when it was just me and 3 guys with hammers. Now he runs a private investigation firm. And he knows Cross. He's been building a file on Cross for 3 years. Hired by investors who got burned in bad deals. Problem was, no one would move forward because Cross had too many connections. Until now. Until now. Victoria's phone buzzed again. A text from Rachel. News crews outside the building. Stories breaking. Cross's lawyers are giving interviews. Victoria grabbed the remote and turned on the television. Edward Cross's face filled the screen. A perfectly coached expression of wounded innocence. I'm the victim here, Cross said to the reporter. Victoria Chen orchestrated this entire situation to destroy a legitimate business competitor. The so-called evidence was fabricated by a disgruntled employee she manipulated. Victoria's hands balled into fists. My lawyers are confident that the truth will come out. I look forward to clearing my name and pursuing legal action against those who conspired to defame me. The reporter turned to the camera. Cross's bail hearing is scheduled for 2 p.m. today. Legal experts suggest he has a strong chance of being released pending trial. Victoria turned off the television. He's going to win. Not yet. Marcus grabbed his jacket. I'm meeting Jimmy in an hour. Whatever he has, it'll be enough. I'm coming with you. Victoria. He threatened both of us. He targeted both of us. We finish this together. Marcus studied her face. Whatever he saw there made him nod. Together then. Jimmy DeLuca was a compact man with sharp eyes and nicotine-stained fingers. He met them in a diner in Brooklyn, a place where the coffee was terrible and the privacy was absolute. Marcus Trent. Jimmy shook his hand. You look like hell. You should see the other guys. I heard. Cross's people. Jimmy sat across from them, pulling out a worn manila folder. I've been waiting 3 years for someone to finally take that bastard down. Never thought it'd be you. What do you have? Jimmy opened the folder. Photographs spilled across the table. Documents, bank records, names Victoria didn't recognize. Edward Cross has been running a shadow network for 15 years. Hostile takeovers, insider trading, corporate espionage. But he's smart, never leaves fingerprints, uses intermediaries for everything. Then how do we prove it? Jimmy slid a photograph forward. A woman, mid-40s, professional attire, haunted eyes. Margaret Sullivan, used to be Cross's head of operations. She handled the dirty work for a decade. Used to be. Cross pushed her out 2 years ago. Blamed her for a deal that went sideways. Threw her under the bus to protect himself. Where is she now? Living under a fake name in Jersey, terrified, Cross threatened her family if she ever talked. Victoria leaned forward. But she has evidence. She has everything. Recordings, documents, testimony that connects Cross directly to at least 7 illegal acquisitions, including his current play for Titan Global. Why hasn't she come forward? Because she thinks Cross will kill her. Jimmy's expression darkened. And honestly, she might be right. The last person who tried to expose him disappeared. Made to look like a suicide, but everyone in the know understood the message. Marcus's jaw tightened. We can protect her. Can you? Cross has resources, connections, people in law enforcement and government in places you can't even imagine. I have resources too. Marcus's voice was steel. And I have something Cross doesn't. What's that? Nothing left to lose. Jimmy studied him, then smiled slowly. You've changed, Marcus. The kid I knew 20 years ago wouldn't have talked like that. The kid you knew hadn't been beaten in a warehouse while someone threatened his daughter. Jimmy nodded. Fair enough. He wrote an address on a napkin. Margaret's place. She won't talk to strangers, but if you tell her Jimmy sent you, she might listen. Might. Best I can offer. The rest is up to you. Victoria took the napkin. Thank you, Jimmy. Don't thank me yet. Cross is dangerous, more dangerous than you know. If this goes wrong, it won't. Victoria stood. It can't. Margaret Sullivan lived in a small apartment above a dry cleaner's. The building was old, anonymous, forgettable. Perfect for someone trying to disappear. Victoria knocked, waited, knocked again. Go away. A woman's voice, muffled, scared. Margaret, Jimmy DeLuca sent us. Silence. My name is Victoria Chen, CEO of Titan Global. Edward Cross is trying to destroy my company and kill the man standing next to me. We need your help. More silence. Then the sound of locks clicking. The door opened a crack. Margaret Sullivan looked older than her photograph. Thinner. Gray streaked her hair. Fear lined her face. You shouldn't be here. I know. If Cross finds out, Cross is in jail for now. For now, you think that matters? He has people everywhere. Lawyers, fixers, men who make problems disappear. I know what he's capable of, Victoria said. He kidnapped my friend, beat him, threatened his daughter. I watched him stand in a warehouse and order a gun pressed to an innocent man's head. Margaret's eyes flickered to Marcus. Took in the bruises, the stitches, the quiet fury. You're the one from the warehouse. Yes. Then you know. You know what he does to people who get in his way. I know what he tried to do. I also know he failed. Margaret hesitated. Then she stepped back. Come in, quickly. The apartment was sparse, boxes everywhere. The home of someone ready to run at a moment's notice. I've been expecting someone to come, Margaret said. Ever since Cross got arrested, I knew it would only be a matter of time. We need your testimony, Victoria said. Everything you know about his operations, his crimes, his connections. And in exchange, protection, resources, a new life wherever you want to go. Margaret laughed bitterly. You think you can protect me? You have no idea what you're dealing with. Then tell me. Margaret was silent for a long moment, then she walked to a closet and pulled out a box. 15 years of files, every deal, every bribe, every body. She set the box on the table. I kept copies of everything because I knew someday Cross would turn on me. I just never thought I'd have the courage to use them. Victoria lifted the lid. The box was full. Hundreds of documents, photographs, recordings. This is everything. Everything I could save before he pushed me out. Why didn't you go to the authorities? Because Cross owns the authorities. Margaret's voice cracked. Judges, prosecutors, police commanders. I watched him destroy a federal investigation with one phone call. I watched him buy a verdict in a case that should have put him away for life. Then how do we stop him? You don't go through the system, you go around it. Margaret pulled out a specific file. This is the key. Victoria opened it. Her blood ran cold. Senator Mitchell. Cross has been blackmailing him for 8 years, compromising photographs, financial improprieties. Mitchell has been protecting Cross in exchange for his silence. A sitting senator. One of the most powerful in Washington. If you can expose this connection, Cross loses his protection. Without Mitchell, his network collapses. Marcus leaned forward. How do we expose it without getting buried ourselves? There's a journalist, Sarah Kim at the New York Standard. She's been investigating Cross for years but could never get enough evidence to publish. If you give her this file, if you give her my testimony, she'll have everything she needs. Victoria looked at the file, at the documents that could bring down not just Cross but everyone who'd enabled him. Why didn't you do this yourself? Because I was afraid. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. I was a coward. I watched him hurt people for 15 years and did nothing. I told myself I had no choice, that I was just following orders, that it wasn't my responsibility. And now I'm tired of being afraid, tired of running, tired of hating myself every time I look in the mirror. She wiped her eyes. If you can really protect me, if you can really make sure my family is safe, I'll testify on camera, under oath, whatever it takes. Victoria felt something shift in her chest. Hope. Real hope. You're incredibly brave. I'm not brave, I'm desperate. There's a difference. There isn't, not really. Victoria took Margaret's hand. Brave people are always desperate. That's what makes them brave. They left Margaret's apartment with the box of files and a phone number for Sarah Kim. In the car, Marcus was quiet. His hands gripped the steering wheel tight. What are you thinking? Victoria asked. I'm thinking about what she said, about watching him hurt people for 15 years and doing nothing. She's coming forward now because she has no choice. Because Cross pushed her out, and she has nothing left to lose. Marcus's voice was heavy. How many people like her are out there? How many people watched Cross destroy lives and stayed silent because they were scared? You can't save everyone, Marcus. I know, but I can't stop thinking about them. He glanced at her. When I was young back in Chicago, I knew guys who worked for bad people. Loan sharks, bookies, worse. They all said the same thing. I'm just trying to survive. I don't have a choice. And I believed them. For a long time, I believed that survival justified anything. Marcus's jaw tightened. Then I met Sarah, Lily's mother. She showed me that survival isn't enough, that how you survive matters. What happened to her? Marcus was silent for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was rough. Cancer, diagnosed when Lily was 2, gone by the time she was 3. Marcus, I'm sorry. She fought until the end, never complained, never asked why me. She just focused on what she could control, on making sure Lily would be okay, on making sure I understood what kind of father I needed to be. She sounds remarkable. She was. And every day since she died, I've tried to live in a way that would make her proud. Marcus looked at Victoria. That's why I couldn't sign those papers. That's why I couldn't let Cross win. Because Sarah would have told me that some things matter more than survival. Victoria felt tears threaten. She blinked them back. I think she'd be very proud of you. I hope so. They drove in silence for a while. Then Victoria's phone buzzed. Thomas Way. Victoria, Cross made bail. Her heart dropped. What? His lawyers convinced the judge he wasn't a flight risk. He walked out 20 minutes ago. That's impossible. The evidence... They argued the evidence was tainted. Illegal search, coerced testimony. The judge bought it. Victoria gripped the phone. Where is he now? Unknown, but Victoria, be careful. Cross is going to be looking for revenge. Let him look. Victoria's voice hardened. We have something that's going to destroy him. What? Proof that he's been blackmailing Senator Mitchell for 8 years. Proof that connects him to crimes the FBI couldn't touch. We're giving it to Sarah Kim at the Standard. Silence on the line. Then, Victoria, if Cross finds out what you're doing before that story publishes, then we make sure he doesn't find out. This is dangerous. It's been dangerous since the moment I walked into that restaurant. She hung up. Looked at Marcus. Cross is free. Marcus's expression didn't change. Then we move faster. They met Sarah Kim at a coffee shop near the Standard's offices. She was younger than Victoria expected. Intense eyes, quick movements. The kind of journalist who lived for stories like this. Victoria handed over the box. Sarah's eyes went wide as she rifled through the contents. This is... My God, this is everything I've been looking for. Margaret Sullivan is willing to testify on record. She'll go public, if you can guarantee protection. The Standard has resources, safe houses, security. If she's really willing to talk, she's tired of running. Sarah pulled out the Mitchell file. Read it again. Do you understand what this means? If I publish this, it's not just Cross who goes down. It's a sitting senator, his entire network, every politician and prosecutor Cross ever bought. That's the point. There will be retaliation against me, against you, against everyone involved. Victoria met her eyes. I didn't build a Fortune 500 company by avoiding difficult fights. Sarah studied her for a long moment. Then she smiled. I've been chasing this story for 5 years. Every time I got close, someone shut me down. Sources disappeared, evidence vanished, editors got cold feet. And now I have enough to blow the roof off, and I have a CEO brave enough to stand behind it. When can you publish? I'll need 48 hours to verify everything and get legal clearance, but once it goes live, Cross is finished, and so is anyone who protected him. They shook hands. Sarah gathered the files and headed back to her office. Victoria and Marcus sat in the coffee shop, the weight of what they'd set in motion settling over them. 48 hours, Marcus said. 48 hours. Cross will be looking for us. I know. Lily. Already handled. I called your sister while you were talking to Sarah. She's taking Lily to a friend's house upstate. Security's been arranged. Marcus stared at her. You did that without telling me. I did it while you were focused on something else, because I knew you'd worry and worrying would distract you. Victoria. Lily is safe. That's what matters. Marcus was quiet. Then thank you. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. He reached across the table and took her hand. For everything. For fighting. For caring. For not giving up even when it would have been easier. Victoria looked at their joined hands, his calloused fingers, her manicured nails, 2 worlds that should never have collided. I gave up once, she said quietly. When my father died, I wanted to walk away from everything, sell tight and disappear, start over somewhere no one knew my name. What stopped you? A photograph, worn and faded, 2 people on a curb in Chicago. Victoria met his eyes. I found it in my desk drawer that night. I'd forgotten I'd kept it. And I looked at that girl, scared, crying, lost. And I remembered what you said to her. That she'd be someone important. That she was worth believing in. Victoria's voice cracked. I decided that night that I couldn't prove you wrong. That I had to become the person you saw even when I couldn't see her myself. Marcus squeezed her hand. You became so much more than that. Because of you. Because of you. I just gave you words. You did all the work. They sat together, hands intertwined as the city moved around them. Two people bound by a moment 15 years ago, fighting a battle neither of them expected. 48 hours. That's all they needed. But Cross was already moving, already planning, already hunting. And the next 48 hours would determine not just whether they survived, but whether everything they'd built together and apart would survive with them. 36 hours had passed since they'd given Sarah Kim the files. 36 hours of waiting, watching, wondering when Cross would strike. Victoria hadn't slept, neither had Marcus. They'd moved between safe locations, a hotel room under a fake name, Thomas Way's private residence, a corporate apartment Titan kept for visiting executives. Never staying anywhere longer than 8 hours. Victoria's phone rang at 4 a.m. Sarah Kim. It's ready? Victoria sat up straight. When does it publish? 6 a.m. Online first. Print edition hit stands at 7. Sarah's voice was tight with barely contained excitement. Victoria, this is going to be the biggest story of the decade. Cross Mitchell. 17 other names connected to illegal activities spanning 15 years. And Margaret, already in protective custody. Federal marshals picked her up 2 hours ago. The FBI took over once they saw what we had. The FBI. Turns out they've been building a case against Cross for years, but could never get enough evidence to move forward. Your files were the missing piece. Victoria closed her eyes. Relief flooded through her. Thank you, Sarah. Thank me after the dust settles. Cross is going to fight. His lawyers are already threatening lawsuits. Let them threaten. You're sure about this? I've never been more sure of anything. The call ended. Victoria looked at Marcus, who'd been listening from across the room. It's happening. I heard. 6 a.m. 2 hours. Victoria stood. Her legs felt unsteady. I need coffee. I'll make it. You don't have to. Victoria. Marcus crossed the room and took her hands. You've been taking care of everyone else for days. Let me take care of you for 5 minutes. She wanted to argue. She always argued. But something in his eyes made her stop. Okay. Marcus made coffee. Victoria sat on the couch and tried to remember how to breathe normally. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You think you've won? You haven't. This isn't over. Victoria's blood chilled. Marcus. He saw the message. His expression hardened. Cross. He knows. He was always going to find out. The question is what he does about it. He could run. Men like Cross don't run, they attack. Victoria's phone rang again. Thomas Way. Victoria, we have a problem. What now? Cross just called an emergency press conference. He's claiming he has evidence that you and Marcus Trent orchestrated an elaborate conspiracy to destroy him and take over his company. That's insane. Insane but effective. He's spinning the narrative before Sarah's story drops. By the time the truth comes out, he'll have already planted doubt. When's the press conference? 1 hour, Titan headquarters lobby. He's using your own building against you. Victoria stood. Then I'll be there. Victoria, that's exactly what he wants. I know, but I'm done hiding. I'm done letting him control the story. She hung up, looked at Marcus. I have to go. I'm coming with you. Marcus, I'm coming with you. His voice left no room for argument. We finish this together. That's what we said. Victoria wanted to protect him, wanted to keep him safe, but she also knew that Marcus Trent would never forgive her if she left him behind. Together then. They arrived at Titan headquarters at 5:30 a.m. News vans already lined the street. Reporters jockeyed for position. The lobby buzzed with anticipation. Edward Cross stood at a podium near the center of the atrium. His silver hair was perfectly styled, his suit immaculate, his expression radiating wounded dignity. The predator playing victim. Victoria pushed through the crowd. Reporters parted as they recognized her. "Ms. Chen, any comment on Cross's allegations? Ms. Chen, is it true you fabricated evidence? Ms. Chen." She ignored them all. Her eyes locked on Cross. He saw her coming. His smile widened. "Ah, Ms. Chen, how gracious of you to join us. I was just about to explain to these fine journalists how you've orchestrated the most elaborate corporate fraud in recent memory. Is that what you're calling it now? What would you call it? You manipulated a disgruntled employee to fabricate evidence. You planted false documents. You conspired with a journalist to publish defamatory lies. I call it justice." Cross laughed. The sound echoed through the atrium. "Justice, you kidnapped the truth and dressed it up as righteousness. Everything in that so-called expose is a lie, fabricated by desperate people trying to destroy a legitimate businessman." Victoria felt Marcus tense beside her. "Tell them about the warehouse." Marcus said, his voice cutting through the noise. "Tell them about the gun pressed to my head. Tell them about threatening my daughter." Cross's smile flickered. "I don't know what you're talking about. You stood 3 feet away from me and ordered your men to shoot if Victoria didn't sign resignation papers. Lies. Hallucinations from a man with a history of mental instability. Mental instability. I've done my research, Mr. Trent, or should I say Mr. Ward. The name you used when you were running from gambling debts in Chicago, the name you hid behind while consorting with criminals." The crowd murmured. Cameras flashed. Marcus's jaw tightened, but he didn't back down. "I paid every debt I owed. I rebuilt my life honestly. Can you say the same? I built an empire through hard work and innovation. You built a house of cards through blackmail and intimidation. Senator Mitchell, Margaret Sullivan, 17 other names about to become publican." Marcus checked his watch. 23 minutes. Cross's composure cracked, just for a second. "Those files are fabricated. Are they because Margaret Sullivan is currently giving testimony to the FBI? She's telling them everything, every bribe, every threat, every body you buried. She's a liar, a disgruntled former employee seeking revenge. She has recordings, Cross, audio, video, documentation that traces directly to your personal accounts." The crowd's energy shifted. Reporters leaned forward. The tide was turning. Cross sensed it too. His smile became a snarl. "You think you've won? You think any of this matters? I have lawyers who can bury these accusations for years. I have connections in every courtroom in this city. By the time any trial starts, you'll both be destroyed." "No." Victoria stepped forward. "You're wrong." "Am I? You've spent your entire career believing that money and power can buy anything. That fear is the same as loyalty. That crushing people is the same as winning. And you're about to learn how wrong you are." Victoria pulled out her phone, held it up for everyone to see. It's 6 a.m. Sarah Kim's story just went live. The reporters' phones began buzzing simultaneously. A wave of notifications spread through the crowd. Someone gasped. Someone else swore. A reporter held up her phone, her face pale. "Senator Mitchell has just been arrested. FBI agents took him into custody 5 minutes ago." Cross's face drained of color. "That's impossible. Margaret's testimony was enough to get emergency warrants. The FBI's been waiting for this moment for years." Victoria stepped closer. You thought you were untouchable. You thought your connections would protect you forever. But connections only work when they're worth more than the cost of keeping them. This is a setup. It's accountability, something you've been avoiding for 15 years. Cross lunged toward Victoria. Marcus intercepted him, grabbing his arm and twisting it behind his back. Don't! Cross struggled. Get off me, security, someone! But the security guards didn't move. They stood watching, their faces impassive. They work for Titan, Victoria said. And Titan works for me. Cross's eyes darted wildly. For the first time, real fear showed on his face. You can't do this. I'll sue. I'll destroy you. You'll what? Marcus released him, pushing him back toward the podium. Threaten us, kidnap us, press a gun to someone's head. You've already done all that and you still lost. The atrium doors burst open. FBI agents streamed in. Edward Cross, FBI, you're under arrest for kidnapping, extortion, bribery, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Cross backed away. This is political persecution. I'll have all of you fired. The agents grabbed him. Handcuffs clicked around his wrists. You have the right to remain silent. I want my lawyers. I want anything you say can and will be used against you. They dragged Cross toward the door. He twisted, fighting, screaming. This isn't over, Chen. You hear me? This isn't over. Victoria watched him go. The man who'd terrorized countless people. The man who'd threatened everything she loved, reduced to screaming as he was dragged away in handcuffs. It's over, she said quietly. The doors closed. Cross was gone. For a moment, the atrium was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then someone else. The applause built, rolling through the crowd of reporters, employees, security guards. A wave of sound that echoed off the walls. Victoria felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them back. Marcus's hand found hers. Squeezed. You did it. We did it. Thomas Way appeared beside them, his face transformed with something Victoria had rarely seen: genuine joy. Your father built Titan Global, he said. But today you saved it. I couldn't have done it without help. That's what makes you different from men like Cross. Thomas clapped Marcus on the shoulder. Both of you. You understand that strength comes from the people around you, not from crushing them. Victoria's phone buzzed. Rachel. Victoria, the story's everywhere. CNN, Fox, BBC. Every major outlet is running it. Cross's network is collapsing in real time. 3 more senators are being questioned. 2 judges have recused themselves from pending cases. This is justice, Victoria said. This is unprecedented. Victoria hung up. The reporters were still shouting questions, but she couldn't hear them anymore. All she could hear was the steady rhythm of her own heartbeat. They'd won, against Cross, against corruption, against everyone who believed that money and fear were enough to control the world. They'd won. Marcus tugged her hand. We should go. Where? Somewhere quiet. Somewhere we can breathe. Victoria looked around the atrium at the reporters, the employees, the chaos of victory. I have a place. They slipped out through a service entrance. Victoria's car waited in the underground garage. She drove without thinking, muscle memory guiding her through streets she'd traveled 1,000 times. Eventually, she stopped at a small park overlooking the East River. They sat on a bench. The sun was rising, gold and pink streaking across the water. I used to come here when I was young, Victoria said. After my father died, I'd sit here for hours watching the boats go by, trying to figure out who I was supposed to be. Did you figure it out? I thought I did. I became what everyone expected, the CEO, the billionaire, the woman in control. She paused. But I was never happy. And now... Victoria looked at him. The bruises were fading. The stitches would dissolve soon, but the warmth in his eyes, that was permanent. Now I think I finally understand what I was missing. What's that? Someone worth fighting for. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled, a real smile, one that transformed his entire face. Lily's been asking about you. What did you tell her? I told her the truth, that you're someone very special, someone who helped Daddy when he needed it most. What did she say? She asked if you could come to her school play next week. Victoria laughed. What's the play? She's a dinosaur, a very important dinosaur, apparently. I wouldn't miss it. They sat together watching the sun climb higher. The city woke around them, traffic building, people rushing, life continuing. What happens now? Marcus asked. Now I run my company, you run yours. We figure out how to be part of each other's lives without destroying everything we've built. That sounds complicated. Everything worth having is complicated. Marcus turned to face her, his expression serious. Victoria, I need you to understand something. What? Lily is my everything. She's the reason I breathe. If we do this, if we try to build something together, she has to come first, always. I know. I mean it. No matter how important a meeting is, no matter how big a deal seems, if Lily needs me, I'm gone. Marcus. Victoria took his hand. That's exactly why I trust you, because you already know what matters. He studied her face. Whatever he saw there made him relax. Okay then. Okay then. They sat in silence for a while longer. Then Victoria's phone buzzed. Thomas Way. Victoria, the board's called an emergency meeting. They want to discuss next steps. Tell them I'll be there in an hour. They want to know about your relationship with Mr. Trent. Tell them my personal life is my own. As long as it doesn't affect my ability to lead Titan, it's not their concern. A pause. Then, I'll tell them. But Victoria, some of them won't accept that. Then they can find a new CEO. Silence. Did you just threaten to resign? I'm stating a fact. I've spent 3 years proving myself to that board. I've delivered results they never expected. If they can't trust me to manage my own life, then they don't deserve me. Your father would have said the same thing. I know. She hung up, looked at Marcus. Trouble. The board wants to discuss us. And I told them to mind their own business. Marcus grinned. The Victoria Chen I met 15 years ago wouldn't have done that. The Victoria Chen you met 15 years ago was scared and young and didn't know her own strength. She stood, pulling him up with her. I'm not that girl anymore. No, you're not. They walked back to the car together, hand in hand. 1 week later, Victoria sat in the front row of PS 142's auditorium. The seats were uncomfortable. The air smelled like crayons and cafeteria food. Around her, dozens of parents waited with cameras ready. Marcus sat beside her. His hand rested on hers. You didn't have to come. I wanted to. It's a second-grade play about the Mesozoic era. I heard there's a very important dinosaur. Marcus laughed. It was a sound Victoria was learning to treasure. The curtain rose. 20 children in homemade costumes stumbled onto the stage, and there, front and center, was Lily Trent. She wore a green cardboard T-Rex outfit that was clearly falling apart. Her tail dragged on the ground. Her teeth were made of painted egg cartons. She was perfect. Lily spotted them in the audience. Her face lit up. She waved frantically. Victoria waved back. The play was terrible. The lines were forgotten. The choreography was chaos. At one point, a volcano made of papier-mâché fell over and a child started crying. It was the most wonderful thing Victoria had ever seen. Afterward, Lily ran to them, still wearing her costume. Did you see me? Did you see me be a dinosaur? We saw you. Marcus scooped her up. You were the best dinosaur on that stage. I roared really loud. You did. You were terrifying. Lily squirmed until Marcus set her down. Then she turned to Victoria with serious eyes. Miss Victoria. Yes, sweetheart. Are you going to be my daddy's friend forever? Victoria knelt down to Lily's level. Behind her, she felt Marcus go still. I hope so. Would that be okay with you? Lily considered the question with 7-year-old gravity. Do you like dinosaurs? I do. Do you like chocolate cake? Very much. Do you like my daddy? Victoria glanced up at Marcus. He watched her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Yes, Victoria said softly. I like your daddy very much. Lily nodded, satisfied. Then you can be our friend forever. She grabbed Victoria's hand with one of hers and Marcus's hand with the other, pulling them both toward the exit. Come on, Daddy promised ice cream. Victoria let herself be pulled along. The cardboard T-Rex costume bumped against her designer dress. Lily chattered about dinosaurs and ice cream and her friend Sophie, who forgot her lines. It was chaos. It was joy. It was everything Victoria never knew she wanted. Outside the school, they piled into Marcus's car, the same modest sedan that a billionaire with nothing to prove drove every day. Where to, Miss Lily? Marcus asked. The place with the sprinkles. The place with the sprinkles it is. They drove through the city, Lily singing off-key in the back seat. Marcus stealing glances at Victoria, Victoria feeling something she'd almost forgotten was possible. Peace. At the ice cream shop, Lily ordered chocolate with rainbow sprinkles. Marcus got vanilla. Victoria chose strawberry, something she hadn't eaten since she was a child. They sat at a small table. Lily made a mess. Marcus pretended to be angry. Victoria laughed until her stomach hurt. Her phone buzzed. A news alert. Edward Cross pleads guilty to multiple felony charges, sentencing expected to exceed 25 years. Victoria read it twice, then she silenced her phone and put it away. Work? Marcus asked. Nothing that can't wait. Victoria Chen ignoring her phone. I never thought I'd see the day. I'm learning to prioritize. Lily looked up from her ice cream, chocolate smeared across her face. Miss Victoria? Yes. You're really pretty. Victoria felt tears threaten. She blinked them back. Thank you, sweetheart. You're pretty too. I know. Lily returned to her ice cream with perfect 7-year-old confidence. Marcus caught Victoria's eye. He didn't say anything. He didn't have to. This was it. This was what mattered. Not board meetings or stock prices or corporate battles. This, a small table, a chocolate-covered child, a man who'd seen who she really was 15 years ago and never stopped believing in her. This was home. 6 months later, Victoria stood at the window of her office looking out at the city she'd conquered. Titan Global's stock had reached an all-time high. The Tokyo merger was complete. The company was stronger than ever. But that wasn't what made her smile. On her desk sat a photograph in a new frame. 3 people on a bench by the East River. A man, a woman, and a little girl in a dinosaur costume. A new photograph for a new life. Her phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Lily lost her first tooth. She wants to show you. Dinner tonight, Victoria typed back. I'll bring cake. You spoil her. Someone has to. A knock on her door. Thomas Way. The board's ready for you. On my way. Victoria grabbed her files and headed for the conference room. 12 faces watched her take her seat at the head of the table. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin. The meeting lasted 2 hours. Strategies were debated, decisions were made. The future of Titan Global was shaped by the woman who'd fought for the right to lead it. When it was over, Victoria didn't linger. She gathered her things and headed for the elevator. Big plans tonight? Rachel asked. The biggest. Work. Better. Victoria smiled. Life. She drove to Brooklyn, parked outside Marcus's building, climbed the stairs to his apartment. Lily opened the door before she could knock. Miss Victoria, look, I lost a tooth. She grinned, revealing a gap where her front tooth used to be. That's wonderful. What did the tooth fairy leave you? $5. Daddy says the tooth fairy is very generous. The tooth fairy knows quality teeth when she sees them. Marcus appeared behind Lily, dish towel over his shoulder, warmth in his eyes. You made it. I said I would. Daddy made spaghetti. Lily grabbed Victoria's hand. He only burned it a little bit. I did not burn it. There's black parts. Those are flavor enhancers. Victoria laughed and let Lily pull her inside. The apartment was warm and chaotic and full of life. Drawings covered the refrigerator, toys scattered across the floor. A half-finished puzzle sat on the coffee table. It was nothing like Victoria's pristine penthouse. It was everything. They ate dinner together. Lily talked about school and her best friend Sophie and the book she was reading about horses. Marcus listened like every word was precious. Victoria found herself doing the same. After dinner, Lily demanded a story. Marcus carried her to bed while Victoria cleaned up. When he returned, the apartment was quiet. They stood together by the window looking out at the city lights. Thank you, Marcus said. For what? For being here, for showing up, for not letting my life scare you away. Your life doesn't scare me. No, your life is the reason I keep showing up. Victoria turned to face him. Marcus, I've spent years building something that was supposed to make me happy. The company, the money, the power, and none of it did, not really. And now I understand what I was building toward. She took his hand. Not a fortune, a family. Marcus pulled her closer. His arms wrapped around her. She felt his heartbeat against her cheek. I love you, he said quietly. I've loved you since you were a scared girl on a curb in Chicago. I just didn't know it until I saw you walk through those restaurant doors. I love you too. Victoria looked up at him. I've loved you since you told me I was going to be someone important. Since you believed in me when no one else did. We're quite a pair. We are. He kissed her, soft, gentle, the promise of everything to come. From Lily's room, a small voice called out, Daddy, Miss Victoria, are you kissing? They broke apart laughing. Go to sleep, Lily. I saw you. You were kissing Sophie, says that means you're going to get married. Marcus looked at Victoria. His eyes held a question. Too soon, he whispered. Ask me again in a year. Is that a maybe? It's a yes that needs time to breathe. Marcus grinned. I can work with that. Daddy, is Miss Victoria going to be my new mommy? Lily, sleep. I want a baby brother. Victoria buried her face in Marcus's chest, laughing so hard she couldn't breathe. This was her life now. Chaos and joy and a 7-year-old who asked impossible questions. A man who'd saved her twice, once from danger and once from herself. A future that looked nothing like the one she'd planned and everything like the one she needed. Victoria Chen had built an empire, but tonight in a small apartment in Brooklyn surrounded by love and laughter, and a little girl demanding siblings, she finally understood what real wealth looked like. And she wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. Because some things are worth more than money. Some things are worth more than power.